Hi guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. So in this video we're going to be looking at the new Game of the Month for December on your Evercade VS and Evercade EXP. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. Okay guys, so it's that time of the month again. It's probably the final Game of the Month as part of Indie Heroes Collection 3 that will probably be released February 2024, and I'm sure we'll find the full lineup very soon. So this is the new Game of the Month. It's Bubble Seahorse Adventures, probably the worst game name ever, but anyway, let's have a look at it. Now this will be available all through December or until you actually update your Evercade VS firmware again. And I'm pretty sure this will be the last game before the full reveal of Indie Heroes 3 very soon. Bubble Seahorse Adventures, as I said, what a horrible name. But this game is from, I think, 2007 or 2008, and it's running natively on the Evercade devices, which is pretty cool. But I think the style of it is kind of based on the Nintendo or NES systems, I think. That's my guess. But as you can see, it does look like it's running natively. Pretty cool. So there'll be no save states. But I guess every section that you go through, it does save that as a kind of a level. So it looks a little bit like a kind of a Super Mario clone, although it probably isn't quite obviously like that at all. But it kind of does look pretty cool. Apart from the name, it does look pretty decent. And this is obviously part of this, the old Battle Axe, they call themselves, the Entered Pie Week Game Jam. So that's obviously one of these games they make for these game competition things. But yeah, the game looks pretty decent. Obviously you've got Mario vibes coming from it. But yeah, you think this name is bad? It was originally known as Barbie Seahorse Adventures. So think yourselves lucky, we've got Bubble Seahorse Adventures instead. So much better. Yeah, Jesus. Anyway, that is what it is. There's a lot of info how to play the game. It's pretty simple. It's really just using two buttons. A jump and shoot button. You can also shoot the enemies. It unleashes this kind of bubble, and you can use that as a platform as well. And you definitely need to do that to reach the higher platforms. I don't think it's a very large game. I think you can probably defeat this or complete it within about an hour, I think. So it's not a massive game. But I think it has that one more go mentality of it. It is pretty addictive to play through. Okay guys, as part of this firmware update, there's also a lot of patches to other carts that are included in this. So we're going to go through the information on that first before we have a look at Bubble Seahorse Adventures, because there's quite a lot involved here. But one sort of caveat I need to add here, that there was issues last night. I obviously did not do the video last night because I noticed there was a lot of issues with this firmware update causing some games not to work. After the updates, the carts wouldn't load. So hopefully Blaze are working on a hotfix right now. So by the time that you get to do this, there's no issues at all. But beware, if you do update and you insert some of these carts that have the patches, it may stop these carts from working. But Blaze are working on a hotfix to fix all that carry on. Again, one thing I'd like to know is why would they drop this at 5:30 at night rather than dropping it first thing in the morning, and if there is any issues they can get on it right away. Bit of a fail for me. I think that's a real massive oversight. They really should put these updates out there first thing in the morning, especially when there's a lot involved with the firmware updates and patching. Makes no sense to drop this last thing at night, then run off home. But I'm pretty sure these guys do work hard and work quite late at night, but I just think that was a really bad idea. Okay, so this dropped last night as well. A load of notes about the sort of features that's now been added to your Evercade VS and EXP. I'm not sure if the EXP update is available yet. It'll hopefully be at some point this week. But one of the most interesting things I think that was added was this Turbo Fire, which is in a kind of beta form. Obviously we are the guinea pigs again, we are testing this out. As per usual, I really wish they would put some money into the testers that are out there doing the work for them, but I don't think they're spending enough money on it, and I feel as if we are the guinea pigs as usual for all these firmware updates. But anyway, there's now an option for some of these shooters to have a Turbo Fire, which is quite cool. There are some caveats with it as well. I think there's some of the Tatty modes. Well, obviously Tatty mode on your EXP won't work because you only have two buttons, and the Turbo Fire has been allocated, I think, to most of the games on Y, which obviously with the Tatty mode we only have two buttons. Not ideal. Not sure why you can't map one of those buttons, because a lot of these shooters only have one button anyway. But anyway, it is what it is. but it should work on playing normal aspect ratio, or you can play it in the VS, I guess, and swivel your monitor or TV if you would like. But there's all the carts that this Turbo Fire has been implemented to, and it's for the following arcade games only, so it's quite a lot of the shooters, obviously, and most of the two-a-plan arcade games as well there. But the default Turbo Fire is Y, as I've just said. X will also fire the secondary shot using Turbo Fire in some cases. And the Turbo Fire buttons are not mappable using the button mapping feature. Great stuff. Happy days. What a mess. Anyway, whatever. We've also got High Scores Beta, whichever this is. So I guess if you're playing some of these games and you create a high score, and I think at this point, if you exit the game, come back in, obviously your high score has gone again, unless you use save states. But now it seems that your high score will be saved as long as you exit the game in this appropriate way, which is pretty cool, meaning you don't need to utilise the save states. Every time you go into the game, your previous high scores will always be there. So if you like that sort of thing, that's a pretty decent update for you. And that's the full list of supported cartridges for this. It's mostly the arcade games and some of the built-in Capcom titles as well. Now we've got some other improvements. Say improvements, but anyway, let's have a look. We've got something to do with emulation, to do with CRT TVs, I guess. Something there about some of the gamma functions directly onto your emulator to compensate for darker looking areas, I guess. Whether anyone will notice the difference, who knows, I'm sure someone will. Improvements to SRAM and save games. So quite often we've seen a lot of issues with people saving using the in-game saving. For instance, obviously they've used Good Boy Galaxy as one of the options here. Some of these games, like the Duke Nukem games, have in-game saves, and sometimes that creates a lot of issues. So hopefully that's been sorted in this update. I might have to look at a lot of these updates in a separate video, but there's a lot of information there if you want to look through it on the website. I will leave the link in the description of this video so you can have a look at yourself, but it looks pretty involved. The full patch notes are there as well. We'll have a quick look at that before we jump on to the game of the month. Okay, here are the patch notes. Obviously the previous game of the month has now been removed. Choo Choo Mimic is now Bubble Sea Adventures. Great name, that still makes me laugh. We've got a Turbo Fire support, High Score Beta. These are all in beta format, so I'm pretty sure any issues will be found out in the next month or so. And also updated some enhancements to the emulation backend, global optimizations, performance improvements, fixed SRAM saves, added banners for Namco Museum 1 and 2, various fixes to game artwork, Pico Interactive Collection 3, there's a fix to the game glitch with Legend of Wukong, a fix for Chain Reaction, and a fix for Planet X2. I guess that's quite cool. There was one of the buttons, if you pressed it, it just completely locked the game, so that's pretty cool that that's been fixed. Full Void, fix some crash conditions. I'm not really aware of that, so I'm sure someone might be aware. Good Boy Galaxy Witch and Wiz fixes. Again, not massively aware of that. There's been improved enemy spawns and added cutscene content for Good Boy Galaxy. Interesting stuff. Maybe that's been additional content that's been added. Not sure. Some fixes there for Duke Nukem Collection 1. Not really sure. Hopefully improved performance for Duke Nukem 3D. Duke Nukem Collection 2. Some fixes there. Nothing about Duke Nukem Advance, so I guess we are stuck with the version we have. I know someone reported the differences between the NTSC version and the PAL version, so I wonder if they will update that, or if they can, if they're allowed to with the license. Not entirely sure, but it's not been added here anyway. So we've got some Turbo Fire support, and that's all the list of the games that they've added that to. And high score beta challenges. So that's it. There's quite a lot of information there. Interesting, there's no extra games being added. There's no secret games by the looks of it. So that's that. Let's get into Bubble Sea Adventures now. Okay guys, once you've done your update, this is what you'll get. The Bubble Sea Adventure. Whoopie-doo. I love that name. Awful, awful, awful. I'm sure they could come up with something better. But anyway, that is what it is. I'm sure they probably hummed and hawed over what name to give this strange game. Obviously it's a kind of a Super Mario clone of sorts. It's Bubble, so you're a seahorse, and the idea is you want to go to the moon, so you progress from the sea, and you slowly go up each level in each stage till you reach the moon, and then you get an end of level boss, the moon boss or whatever it's called, and that's the game finished. It only takes about an hour to actually go through, but it certainly has a lot of secrets, I think, within the game. And it's pretty basic to play. You get jump, enter door. Probably a bit of fail at mapping that to the same button, because it does create a little bit of issues here and there. And you've got your shoot button as well. Now just remember, this is a game running natively, so you can't use save states. And you have to exit in a slightly different way rather than pressing the menu button. But anyway guys, let's get stuck into Bubble Seahorse Adventures. Okay, so I think the best way of describing this game, it's like a cross between Bubble Bobble meets Super Mario, or something like that. But you can't actually jump on the enemies' heads, but you can jump on the bubbles that they leave behind after you've actually killed them, and you definitely need to utilise them to reach some of the higher platforms. There certainly seems to be an awful lot of secrets within this game, so there's probably replayability value to the game, given the fact it is a pretty short experience. I'm not really sure what the point is collecting all these coins. It's probably just a score hunt rather than anything else, because it doesn't really give you any benefits. And if you pick up that sort of wig that you put on, it's like an Elvis wig that you put on, it basically gives you an extra hit, so if you touch the enemies you won't die instantly, which sometimes does create a lot of frustration. When you die instantly you get sent back a few sort of stages, and yeah, it did get a little bit frustrating. But it is a pretty short game. It only took me maybe about an hour to reach the final boss, and then I struggled a little bit with the final boss, but eventually I defeated the game, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It's got that one more go mentality. I kept going back to it, and I really enjoyed playing it. It's very basic, quite simple, but it's a decent game. I really enjoy it. It's a crap name, no doubt about it. The name of the game is absolutely crap, but I guess what else would you call it? Seahorse Adventures, it's probably about right really, but it sounds terrible. But have to say, it's a really good game and I really enjoyed playing it. So eventually you will reach the boss bird character thingy. I have no idea what it is. It's obviously pooping down at you, and you need to avoid the poops and then create them into some sort of bubbles. They will float up and hurt that flying creature, and then it will move on to another stage once you've done that, and eventually you will win the game. But yeah, I think it's a really good game. Pretty short, but it is good fun to actually play, and I did enjoy it for the best part. So guys, let me know what you think. I think it's pretty decent. Just be wary of the latest firmware update. It may cause issues with some of your carts. I think they have actually removed the update for now until they've put that hotfix in place. So you might not be able to update your carts as yet with all the fixes that they've put in place. So maybe by the time this video goes up, the fix will already be done and you'll be able to update your carts as per the patch notes that I've shown in this video. But just be wary of that. It may cause some issues with your carts when you do update. But anyway, thanks for watching the video, guys. We'll catch you again in the next one.